to Everybody in Southern Indiana Town Hall for All. My name is Will Stauffer. I'm an organizer with Hoosier Action, and I'm part of the Ohio River Valley chapter down along the river. I'm very excited to be with you here today. I am co-chairing, been seeing this event with Stephanie.
Hi everybody, can you guys hear me okay? Yeah. Okay, awesome. My name is Stephanie. I am the Bartholomew County Community Organizer with Hoosier Action. As Will said, I'm going to be co-chairing this town hall with him, and welcome everybody to the biggest town hall that centers the experiences of everyday Hoosiers in this state this fall. Let's give a warm welcome. Today is about claiming a future where all Hoosiers have care, freedom, and opportunity.
Thank you, Stephanie. Oh, this is a super, super special place we're in, Scott County. So, to kick this off, without further ado, we want to introduce you to two very, very special Scott County residents, Kelly and Deborah, who are going to share a little bit more about this space. Give them a warm round of applause.
Specialist. I also am program manager of the White Flag program in New Austin. I'm also a native of Scott County. It's 1973, as a matter of fact. It is a growing community, but it is still a small community. And a lot of times, we have skyscrapers and public transportation and rush hour traffic. There's still a lot of issues keeping over because we are a small community. The small community that pulls together when needed. And the need for continued recovery treatment, harm reduction, and homelessness services is here and is needed.
My name is Kelly Hans. I'm the executive director of Holding Space Recovery Project. We are a certified recovery community organization here in Scott County. I am also a person in long-term recovery. We lived through something back in 2015 here in Scott County that hopefully no other community has to live through. But what it showed us here in Scott County is that we're small but we're mighty. And like the whole community come together. Between elected officials, health department, law enforcement, like the community come together in 2015, and the coolest thing that they did was they reached out and grabbed us in the recovery community to bring us to the table so we could help. So we could help fix the problem. And here we're rolling into almost 10 years later, and that's what we're still doing. Although we have a lot of resources here in our community, we can still use a lot more. So that's my little spiel. Scott County in the house. Anybody from Scott County? We're going to have to be better than that here, guys. So we want to know who's all in the room, right? So we hear that we have a bunch of different people from different counties in the room. So we have anybody here from Monroe County?
Morgan County.
Oh, come on. We can get louder than that. Lawrence County?
Brown County.
Bartholomew County? See, that's how it's supposed to be done, you guys.
Orange County.
Jackson County?
Jennings County.
Jefferson County?
Washington County.
All right, guys, here we go again. Scott County?
What about Clark County?
We're not
For this next section, thank you so much, Kelly and Deborah. That was great. We just wanted to let you guys know, if we're getting settled in here, we're putting some more chairs, get more chairs set up in the back, because we got a really full crowd. It's great to see all your beautiful faces. And for this next part, we just want to do a brief introduction of this kind of who we are, a little bit about Hoosier Action, and kind of what to expect today, before we hand it over to Lakshmi and Brother Elred, kind of get us grounded in what we're trying to do here and why it's really important. So, just briefly, like I said, I'm Will Stauffer. I am an organizer with Hoosier Action. Been organizing for about 5 years, and I organize in Floyd County. Let's hear it again, Floyd County. I am here because I love Indiana and the people of Indiana. I've lived here my whole life, and all Hoosiers are my neighbors. But too many of us are suffering because of the immense power imbalance between us and big corporations that run our state. And I know, I have this firm faith and believe that the only way we can counteract that immense power and to get everyday people back to the center of decisions is if we come together across difference just like this together. So this is really encouraging to me to see you all here, and that is why I do this work.
All right, here we go. And again, my name is Stephanie. I am the Bartholomew County Community Organizer. And I am here today because this is the one thing that gives me hope. And I am really grateful to be here. When I came to my first Hoosier Action Town Hall 5 years ago, it was a similar room like this. First time I was in a room with 200 people, with folks that I never otherwise would have met. Folks who are from a similar background, but also most of them are not from the same background as me. But we were coming together to chart a different path for our state, for our communities. And to me, that was the one thing that took me out of the isolation and the cynicism that threatens to keep me alive every day. So I'm here because I want to honor that all of our lives are sacred and that this is the only path forward to making sure that all of our lives are healthy. So thank you.
Okay, so just a little bit about Hoosier Action. If you're brand new, we are a nonpartisan, independent, member-led community organization that is dedicated to improving the lives of everyday Hoosiers in rural and small towns in Indiana. Just a little bit about what we mean by some of those words. So we are nonpartisan. That means our members identify all across the political spectrum, and we don't let party affiliation get in the way of working together. And yeah, that's right. So we are working to unite our issues and values first and foremost, not the parties. Second, we're independent. This means we're our own thing. We are our own organization. We don't take money from any political party. We work for our members. We are building a new politics in our state that's not based on party, but based on what people need. And then we're member-led. That's like the third piece that's really important. Who here is a member of Hoosier Action? Make some noise. Our members are the entire organization. They lead and shape the work we do and lead through chapters, and so we're fundamentally a membership organization. And then we believe that all Hoosiers should have a say in decisions which impact them at the local, state, and federal level.
Awesome. I want to talk a little bit about how are we going to show up here today? So, who here has heard of Hoosier hospitality?
They don't have it.
Yeah? All right, let's show Hoosier hospitality to ourselves and to each other today. So, we want to first do this by welcoming everybody in this room. We've got folks in the room from all different backgrounds, whether that's where you're from, like we've talked about the counties we're from, or where you live, or how you love, or how you worship. Or even how you identify politically, or if you don't identify it. So we just want to honor that we're all coming together across difference. We're not going to agree on everything. But what we do want to do is to find places of shared values and shared alignment. Because that's how we're going to work together and find common sense solutions to the issues that all of us are facing. So tonight, let's respect these differences and put the tension on the issues and not on the party, whether that's how you identify or with the folks who are elected or candidates running. So, what does that look like? We want to lean into respect for our neighbors, curiosity, joy and fun, and leave behind judgment before listening. Make sure you stay on time. I've got a stop sign here, and then also do not be worries. All right.
All right, awesome. And in the final part of our section, we just want to let you know a little bit about where we're headed. So, we're doing the welcome and grounding now, and our brother Elder and Wendy are going to come up and complete the grounding part of this section. So that will be the first part. Next, you're going to get a chance to hear a bunch of stories from our members and responses from state elected officials about different issues that our members really want and how our elected officials are champions and actually working on some of those issues at the state level. That's the middle section. Then we're going to have a question Q&A with some of our governor candidates, and then we're going to do a close. Sound good? Thumbs in the air? All right, cool. Well then, good to see you all. We're going to invite Lakshmi and Brother Elder to the stage. Let's give them a warm welcome.
Hello, beautiful people and Hoosiers. Thank you for coming out. I'm Elred. I am the priest at St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Columbus, Indiana. And I have the task of moral grounding. Isn't that daunting? However, all I can do is share my story as a Christian, how I understand the connection between faith and politics. As a follower of Jesus, I've come to realize that faith is not just a mental asset of beliefs and adherences to dogmas and doctrines. It's about following Jesus in the way of love that holds me accountable and responsible to care for others in the same manner I want others to treat me, as in loving your neighbor as yourself. I also want to address the need for a coherent and cohesive understanding of faith and politics. In our rapidly changing world, it's all too easy to let our political affiliations define our beliefs. We often find ourselves in camps labeled as conservative or liberal, yet this binary view of faith fails to capture its true essence. Faith, at its core, is not a political ideology. It is a practice of love, a love that extends to all people, particularly the poor, the working poor, and the marginalized among us. Christians need to remember that our treatment of one another is ultimately a reflection of how we respond to God in Christ. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25, Jesus clearly teaches us that our actions towards the least among us are, in fact, actions taken towards Him. Where I was hungry, you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. This is the cornerstone of our faith, a call to serve, to uplift, and to love unconditionally. When faith communities or Christians and politicians resort to demonizing others, whether they are political opponents or those who live differently, we violate this central tenet of our teachings. Our mission is not to divide but unite, to understand that the very essence of Christian faith is rooted in compassion and empathy. The politics of division seek to isolate us, to create an us versus them mentality that can only breed hostility and misunderstanding. Yet when we come together, when we put aside our political labels and engage in genuine dialogue, we find that we have far more in common than we realize. We are all striving for dignity, for justice, and for a world where every person can thrive. Followers of Jesus are to address issues like poverty, labor rights, racism, and economic inequalities. Together, we can hold our elected representatives accountable to the people, not to special interest groups, that often prioritize profit over people, but to the very values that define our common humanity: love, justice, equality. Let us challenge ourselves to build bridges rather than walls. Let us foster an environment where open communication flourishes, where we can share our stories, our struggles, and our hopes. In these shared moments, we can cultivate a community that reflects the love of Christ, one that is committed to serving all, especially those who are often overlooked. So I urge each of you to engage your neighbors, listen to their stories, and partner with the lost, lonely, least, and overlooked. Remember that every act of kindness, every moment of understanding, is a step towards manifesting the love that Jesus exemplified. In this way, we can transform our faith communities into powerful agents of change, dedicated to creating a society where every individual is valued and respected. Let us not be defined by our divisions, but rather united by our common humanity and sacred call to love and care for one another. And at this time, I would like to introduce Lakshmi Palde, who will ground us in this moment and movement and what is being asked of us to build a brighter future that benefits all Hoosiers. Thank you.
Hi everyone. How are you all doing? My name is Lakshmi Palde. I am the environmental organizer with Hoosier Action. I joined Hoosier Action as a member in 2019 and then as staff in 2020. And I've lived in Indiana for most of my life. So my family immigrated here from all across the world when I was 7 years old, and I grew up here. I went to IU in Bloomington, which is where I found this organization. And I found organizing at a time in my life when I felt pretty hopeless and confused about my own future. And when I got this invitation into organizing, it really resonated with me. It resonated with my own belief that every single person, no matter if they've just moved here or have lived here for generations, no matter if they're black, white, or brown, deserve to shape the decisions that get made about our lives all the time and about our futures. Do you agree? Yeah. And Hoosier Action is my political vehicle because I believe that it's us. It's the people in this room. It is only the people in this room that can remedy the brokenness in our world, and it's not some party or someone magical coming to save us. It's us. So I'm going to spend a few minutes really grounding us in what is the political moment that we're in. But before that, I want to take a moment to just welcome the people who've just gotten here. Welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. Really glad to be here with you. And I want to take some time for all of you to introduce yourselves to someone that you don't know. So we're going to take a couple minutes, and I want to ask you to turn to someone that you either don't know or don't know well, and introduce yourselves, say your name, where you're from, and what brought you to this town hall today. And we're going to spend 2 minutes, and I'm going to call you back together.
My name is Rainwater. I'm the Libertarian candidate for governor, and I'm here today. We live in Johnson County, and my wife and I came down to participate in the town hall. Okay. Awesome. Well, now see, we're right down the road from you. We live in Princess Lakes, which is part of Nineveh, right next to Atterbury. And I always tell people I'm perfectly in the middle between Columbus and Franklin. So whenever my wife and I go out to dinner, I always have to ask her, am I going right or am I going left? Because there's options either way. Yep, pleasure to meet you.
How was that? Good? Can I get a thumbs up, middle, down? Okay, awesome. All of us are coming from different parts of the state, from different backgrounds, and for different reasons. And I hope that by the time you leave today, that you make a new connection, build a new relationship with someone that you don't know. So I'm glad we got to do that. So I'm going to call us back together and spend just a few minutes before we get to the meat of the agenda, which is on the issues and values, to really ground us in what's the moment. So we are living right now in some of the most loneliest and divided times in recent history. And we get told all the time that we have nothing in common. I know that's not true. I'm a South Asian immigrant. I have knocked doors, hundreds of doors, and talked to hundreds of people across the state in some of our most rural and our most urban areas, and with folks that I might have never come across if not for the organism. And I know from what I've heard that most of us want the same things. Most of us want to be able to get health care when we or someone we love get sick without going bankrupt. We want us and our neighbors to be able to live in safe and healthy and warm homes, no matter what we're struggling with. That we want our neighbors who are struggling with mental health or addiction to have care and love and none of this shame or stigma. That we want a well-funded public education system that works, that gives kids opportunities, no matter what background they come from. So why, if we want so many of the same things for ourselves and for our neighbors, are we so divided? Who stands to win when we stay divided? Does anyone have an answer?
Big business.
Big business, I heard. Anyone else?
Both parties.
Okay.
Nobody.
People have power.
People with power. So I'm going to lift up the answer that was big businesses and big corporations, right? So we get told all the time, it's red team or blue team, you got to pick one, you got to stay in that camp, you can't talk to each other, you can't talk to the people that don't believe the things that you do. And we get divided across generation, gender and sexuality, race, geography, right? And all this chaos at the national level is just serving to like divide and distract us and teaching us that like our neighbors are to blame for when our lives are hard and painful. And all the while, there's a $1 billion political industry. And there's 50 mega donors that have put $1.6 billion into both parties at the national level. And then at the local level, what are we seeing happen to our own lives and to our own people? They're getting more isolated and more lonely across age. We're losing so many of our community institutions and places where we get to be with people, right? Whether that's the YMCA, or the bowling alley, or the clubs. Things are getting out of human scale and more frictionless. So when I say that, I mean, when I go to the grocery store, sometimes I just go to self-checkout. I don't really talk to anybody. Or I just order DoorDash and I don't talk to anybody. Right? And we get told that our only power is in what we buy and who we vote for maybe once a year. And that's it. So I'm going to ask again, who benefits when we stay isolated from one another and we don't talk to each other? I have another example. So Kroger, there's a whole set of global corporations that are taking our basic needs out of our hands, right? So Kroger has been making over $2 billion in annual profits. They've been consolidating and buying up all these grocery stores across our country so that they can decide the prices. And while we get told the story that inflation is really bad, blah, 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 they are artificially setting the prices. So a Kroger executive came out in August 2024 and admitted that they had artificially gouged grocery store prices, right? All the while we're getting told, hey, it's the immigrants' fault. It's your neighbor's fault. And we have to stay clear on who's to blame, because when we stay isolated, we lose our power. That's what's at stake here. Y'all know who else is winning right now? Unions. Woo! Can we hear it from some unions? Okay. So there's been a surge in union membership since COVID. And the United Auto Workers have been getting some pretty significant historic wins. And the thing that I want to lift up is unions are incredibly politically diverse. They're made up of people who believe different things, but know that my well-being is tied up with your well-being, and we want the same things. We want better living conditions and better wages, and they've been winning. So we gotta stay clear too. And we gotta stay clear that we have to be in the arena. We cannot be on the sidelines or on the outside passively watching this go down on TV from afar. When we don't participate, the status quo stays the same. And the way to heal this brokenness is not by sitting on the sidelines, but making the decision to be in the arena. And making the decision to show up as all of us have done. And I know, and I'm clear that the only antidote to all of this is for us to walk towards each other and to commit to this place, to all of the places that we're from, and to the people in this room, and to really rebuild what we need here for our people. And this is what today's about. It's about people's politics. It's about the people in this room. And it's about getting into accountable relationships with our elected officials and accountability that we have long after the elections. Okay, that's what today's about. And I'm going to hand it over now to Will and Stephanie to move us to the next part of our meeting. But I'm really grateful to be here with all of you, and I know this is where it's going to take.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lakshmi and Mother Ellen, for those very, very powerful words. So if we're ever going to reject being divided, now is the time to do that. We need a political and spiritual revival of everyday people to stand together. So let's start that today in this room. This next section is going to be about hearing stories from everyday people about the truth in their lives, about the real issues that are affecting them. And then we're going to hear a response from each of those issues from an elected official who's working on that at the state legislative, at the upcoming state legislative session, which is happening in the spring, such as January 2025. So, we have organized this section around 3 different value pillars. The call for care, the call for freedom, the call for opportunity. First, we're going to hear stories from the call for care. By this we mean all Hoosiers deserve quality care that they can afford when they need it. As small-town Hoosiers, we're used to taking care of each other, but we need our state to have our back as well. Then we're going to hear stories from the call for freedom. Every Hoosier deserves the freedom to thrive. This means freedom from the burden of predatory debt and from the barriers and stigma associated with substance use and incarceration. And finally, we're going to hear stories from a call for opportunity. No matter what zip code you're from or what color of your skin, every Hoosier deserves a life of opportunity. Opportunity starts with a safe, stable, and affordable place to live and the best public schools.
Okay, I've got some instructions for everyone. So, we were now going to hear from speakers to share their stories and also some questions that they will have for our elected officials. And first I want to just welcome the speakers to sit there, which they already are, and also our state-elected state legislators to come join us and take a seat right here as I give our instructions. So, instructions for speakers. Please make sure that you stay on time. We've got an amazing timekeeper here. Nathan, raise your hand. Also, elected legislators, please note our amazing timekeeper, Daniel. He will have a time card for you. And also, Will and I will, if you don't have time, will gently put our hand on your shoulder to let you know that your time is up and also cut you off if need be. And then for everybody else in the room, you are going to get a chance to hear people's real stories. So we ask that you please give them your undivided attention. There are going to be moments when you resonate with them. So if you do, feel free to lean into that yourself, sit with that. There's also places for you. There's also a sheet of paper at everyone's table that says my story. Feel free to write down your story if you feel compelled to do so. And you can share that with each other and also our elected legislators at the end of this. And if you have any questions that you have for our elected legislators, put them on that as well, because we want to welcome and make sure that we are all a part of this conversation. Okay, sweet. I think that's all of our instructions. Sound good? Okay, sweet. So up first, we have our call for care. So I want to please welcome to the stage Ashley to share her story about maternal health and also ask a question to State Senator Shelli. Welcome, Ashley.
Thank you. There it is. Hi, my name is Ashley Clere. I am a mom of 6 from the age of 1 to 15. With one of my children, I had what I would call borderline psychosis, OCD, and thoughts. And with that, I didn't know this when I was pregnant. Now, I did have risk factors, such as with each pregnancy, there's more risk factors. But I didn't know it was going to be like this. I didn't know that on day 2, whenever I had him, that with my 4th child, I wanted to run into a tree. I didn't know that I was going to want to drop him off at the fire station now that they had a baby box. I did not know. But see, I didn't have time. I didn't have time to think. I knew that his feeding issues were too much. I knew that his crying was too much. But I didn't know how I could do this for 7 more minutes. How was I going to do it for 7 minutes, months? I didn't want him in my home. So how was I going to do this? See, I didn't want to be judged. I know a lot of people, and I didn't want people to wonder. And heck, they were probably going to go get my baby from the fire station. But fortunately, I had made an appointment with my nurse practitioner weeks ahead of time, just in case. But see, not everybody can do that. And I didn't know how badly that it was going to be. I was able to get to my provider. We worked together to make a plan, whether that's setting up play dates, hiding my medication, unfortunately, because no mother wants to have somebody hold their medication from them and lose that control. I didn't know. but I had to let that go, and I had to let her take over. However, because I already had a plan and an appointment, most moms don't get that. And I'm glad for the expansion of Medicaid up to 12 months. I'm very glad. However, not everybody has Medicaid, and not every provider takes it. Psychiatric nurse practitioners, it's very hard to get into. When you go to the emergency room with a medical crisis, you're bleeding, broken arm, somebody's going to go to you right away. But that doesn't happen whenever it comes to a mental health crisis. But I won't be standing in front of you guys if it wasn't for the help that I was able to receive. What I'm asking right now is, what are you going to be able to change this for moms? People do not have 7 minutes, 7 days, or 7 months to wait. How can you change this for families since there is not enough time? So thank you for the expansion, but there is moms who do not have minutes before them or their babies do not survive. What can you do with that plan?
Thank you, Ashley. Senator Yoder, we'll now give you 2 minutes to respond. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley, for having the courage to share your story. 2 minutes to respond is pretty tight. But here is where I would begin in addressing the plethora of issues that Ashley so brilliantly pointed to and revealed to us on where there are holes in what maybe some call a safety net. What we can do is, first and foremost, trust mothers and trust people, trust women. And what we are hearing too frequently is that we don't trust women. One of the issues that I have been working hard with bipartisanship support is repealing the near total ban on abortion care access that was passed in a special session in 2022. We have now lived with that total ban to care for just, not even, maybe just a year, because it went into effect August of 2023. And we are hearing stories on a regular basis of Hoosiers who do not have access to care. Women who are dealing with miscarriages, women who have died. Women who have died and are parents to other children because they did not have access to care. Because what the ban to abortion care put into place was, it really changed the story in Indiana, changed the focus, and providers are now scared that they will have their license and be prosecuted for the care that they give. If you have a choice on where you're going to set up practice after spending thousands of dollars on your degree and on your education, most likely you are going to go to a state that respects and looks to your profession with the kind of respect that doctors and providers, I know Ashley mentioned nurse practitioners, need to provide that care. And in Indiana, we have seen an exit of many providers not wanting to provide care in Indiana. And now we are seeing our local hospitals, our county hospitals, our practices shut down. And so women who are in the case that, the terrible situation that Ashley described, in many different kinds of situations, not having access to care. So first and foremost, we can repeal that very unpopular abortion ban in Indiana. What else can we do? We can ensure that this next year, we don't begin to claw back those programs that we've expanded through Medicaid. And I know that we have heard, because of some, I don't know what you want to call it, a misforecast in Medicaid dollars. We hear stories of overbilling the state on Medicaid dollars from our hospitals. All of this, we are hearing that the target is on the backs of of those who are Medicaid recipients. And that's what we need to be very careful and be ready to go in this next session, because it's a budget year, and we need to make sure that those programs, like the 12-month expansion to postpartum care, do not get rolled back. So let's repeal the Senate Bill 1, the ban on abortion care access, and let's make sure we protect and only expand access to care in the state of Indiana.
Thank you so much, Yoder. Thank you so much for your remarks. And I want to lift up and thank Ashley again for sharing her story and lifting up this incredibly important issue of making sure that we are caring for our moms in Indiana and making sure that all of us have the care that we need. Next, I want to welcome Manuel to the stage to share his story about Medicaid and ask a question to State Representative Ed Clere. Welcome, Manny.
Hey, hello everyone. My warmest greetings to you all and state officials here with us. My name is Manuel Arturo Garcia. I'm from Mexico and currently have been living in Indiana for 15 years. After my father got a job offer from Cummins. I'm here today to share a little bit about my experience with the Healthy Indiana Plan, or HIP, a form of Medicaid in hopes of constructing a fuller picture of the insurance system. My Medicaid story began after I turned 26. At the time, I learned it can be as pivotal as age 18, since you fall out of your father's insurance. In a different reality, maybe I wouldn't have needed assistance from Medicaid, but in this one, I was recently diagnosed with 2 chronic illnesses, anorexia, and a severe form of IBS. The first one is a type of arthritis. You can think of metal rod attached to your lower back, preventing you from flexing. And the second is an inflammatory bowel syndrome. You can think of ongoing hyper-awareness to food or environmental triggers and anxiety. My chronic health issues started about 3 years ago, and the water sent this last year. I was working a logistics job, reaching about 80 hours per week, staying up until 2 a.m. with international cargo. I never had any health issues before, but this took an immense toll on my body and sanity. Sadly, my growing health complications got to a point where I could no longer work, so I had to quit and booked a one-way ticket back home to Indiana to be with my family and recover. Now, during this time, I turned 26, so I got off my parents' health insurance and had to figure out how to treat my conditions without insurance from employment. So I applied to HIP. The process was smooth. I found the website easy, and completed the application really fast, 30 minutes. Promptly, I received my letter and notified that I was approved and what I should expect next, which diminished my anxiety and eventually gave me a recent opportunity to go into work again. Now, I'm just one of nearly 2 million Hoosiers on Medicaid living all different lives. We all should have the option for care and insurance. At the end of the day, we all hope to continue providing for our families. So I'm grateful to all of those who have worked and are still working to improve the access to this healthcare in Indiana. This includes Hoosier Action members and the Indiana Justice Project, whose recent legal victory reduces unnecessary barriers to coverage in the HIP program. So Representative Clere worked for me, but I was wondering what would you do to continue to protect and improve the HIP and other Medicaid programs?
Thank you, Manuel. Thank you. Now we welcome Representative Ed Clere, and we'll have 3 minutes. My apologies, Senator Yoder. I said 2 minutes last time, we would give you 3 minutes. 3 minutes to respond. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thanks to Hoosier Action for putting this on, and thanks to all of you for showing up. It's great to see a full house. So, Manuel, thank you for sharing your story. Where did he go? Oh, there he is. Thank you for sharing your story regarding HIP 2.0, your experience. So, HIP 2.0, I think many of you know, is Indiana's Medicaid expansion program. So, It was and is Indiana's Medicaid expansion under the Affordable Care Act. Medicaid is a very misunderstood program. We have 6.8 million people in Indiana, according to the last census. Almost a third of those residents depend on Medicaid for health care access, about 2.2 million people, and that includes the HIP 2.0 program, which has, I think, close to 750,000 people enrolled. So there are more than 2 million Hoosiers who depend on Medicaid directly, and I would say 6.8 million Hoosiers, in other words, every resident in the state of Indiana, who depends on Medicaid indirectly because it is so critical to the function of our state. The Medicaid program supports all Hoosiers by supporting a lot of things. I appreciate, Manuel, your mention of work. Because one of the things that's very misunderstood about the Medicaid program is that it does support workforce participation. And without, we already struggle in Indiana with workforce participation, and without Medicaid, we would struggle even more. So that's one of the misperceptions about Medicaid is that somehow people on Medicaid aren't working. Well, a lot of people on Medicaid aren't working. Children, seniors, people with disabilities who can't work are depending on Medicaid, but so are many working people of the expansion population, the roughly 750,000 people who are part of HIP 2.0. Most of them either work or live in a household with someone who works, and their access to Medicaid may be supporting that other person working. So we heard briefly about the so-called Medicaid miss. There's a $700 million whistleblower lawsuit that's been in the news the last week or so. But neither of those should distract from, in my opinion, the legislature trying to make Medicaid work for every Hoosier, not only including those who benefit directly, but those who benefit indirectly. And a big part of that is provider rates. So I don't have time to get into it now, but suffice it to say, in order to have a well-functioning Medicaid program, we need to have sustainable rates that attract provider participation. Our first speaker, Ashley, you talked about psychiatric nurse practitioners. So if we want to have more of those providers and every other provider, then we need to support sustainable rates. So thank you again for being here. Look forward to your questions and talking with you individually after the program.
Thank you so much. Thank you again, Representative Clere, and thank you, Manuel, for sharing your experiences. We have to continue to fight hard to protect this incredibly life-saving program in our state. That's Medicaid, that's HIP. I have loved ones in my life who are on HIP, and our bodies are our first homes. So we have to make sure that we get them. Whether you're working or not, we have the care that we need to take care of our bodies. All right, so that wraps up our call for care. Now I'm going to pass it to Will for our call for freedom.
Thank you. Okay, so for our next session, Call for Freedom, we're going to be hearing different stories around two issues of medical debt and harm reduction. So first up, we're going to start with medical debt. And first up, we're going to hear two stories from two different perspectives, from Pastor Gabe and from Aaron. So after that, then we're going to read a statement from Senator Becker, who could not be here today, but is working on this at the state level. So, Pastor Gabe.
Thank you, Will, and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Gabe Pfeffer, and I'm the pastor of Park Christian Church in New Albany. I've also been a volunteer clergy organizer with Hoosier Action for about 2 years now. I'm also a patient with several chronic diseases. I have type 2 diabetes and a number of other conditions, and my wife has lupus and epilepsy. So we have a lot of contact with the medical system and with the challenges that go along with the costs. Back in February, my wife had to leave her job at PNC Bank, where our health insurance had come from, because she was having a bout of major seizures and other symptoms related to her illnesses, and was bedbound most of the time for several months. And so since then, we've been struggling financially for the past few months, and we still have not been able to obtain affordable health insurance yet. My wife recently cut her leg on some rusty metal when she was taking some trash out. And I was away, and we simply couldn't afford the ambulance costs. She had to drive herself to the hospital. And even without insurance, we're still trying to figure out how we're going to pay off the cost of the ER visit at the hospital and the care that she got there. And that's just one of many instances that we've dealt with. We both have been employed full-time in professional jobs. Until recently, we both have had supposedly middle-class incomes, but we still are struggling to stay afloat. And I'm watching the direction of the healthcare system in this country, and I'm really afraid that basic healthcare is becoming an unaffordable luxury for millions of Americans. And I'm so worried it's just going to become this whole network of different subscriptions and things that will be even more difficult to afford for people. I look at that situation, I contrast it with the situation of my sister. She's lived in London, England for about 12 years. And I look at the systems that so many of the countries in Europe and around the developed world have, and I wonder why we can't do better for our citizens. In many of these countries, even the most indigent citizens can at least get access to basic life-saving care that often can be catastrophically unaffordable for people here. And where I come from, where I'm a pastor in Floyd County, about 20% of people are struggling with medical debt, a fifth of the population. And it's an issue that affects people from all walks of life and economic positions. It's not just one type of person. Just about anybody, unless you're maybe a billionaire, could have the wrong event or catastrophic illness or injury happen that could put you into debt that you wouldn't be able to get out of. And as a pastor, I see it every day, the way that medical debt affects people and people I care for spiritually. And I watch them make these heartbreaking choices about their medical care, their medication. It's a moral issue to me. A moral society looks after the needs of even the least of these and empowers them to have at least the opportunity to flourish in life. And so if we're talking about freedom today, being shackled with decades of debt for millions of Americans, that doesn't seem like freedom to me. And I think a real different picture is possible. And we have the means to do so. And I pray that every day we might start that right here in Indiana. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Clere.
Thank you so much. My name is Erin Macy. I am the director of the Indiana Community Action Poverty Institute and a proud Hoosier Action member. In 2020, the Indiana Community Action Poverty Institute asked low-income Hoosiers about debt for the first time. A staggering 47% of the folks we surveyed told us they had some form of medical debt, and nearly 1 in 3 shared that they had medical debt in collections. As we studied this issue further, we learned that Indiana has the highest share of medical debt collections in the Midwest, and that medical debt makes it harder to meet basic needs, results in delayed or missed care, and affects mental health. This week, the Institute will release Listening to Hoosiers, New Mothers, and Medical Debt, a short piece drawn from a set of interviews we conducted for a larger study. These interviews were eye-opening. A time that should be joyful is often diminished by the assault of wave upon wave of medical bills. In a context marked by lack of maternity leave and incredible child care costs, I wanted to share just a couple of these quotes with you today. Right after we had him last year, I was having severe pain in my abdomen and my chest and everything. It was just on fire. And I remember being up at 1 in the morning trying to get it to go away because I'm like, I don't want to go to the doctor and have emergency visit bills. Another mom shared, I desperately need therapy, but with my insurance and the bills we already have, I can't justify it. These new mothers told us medical debt was affecting their ability to invest in their marriage, their decision-making about future children, their ability to save for the future, and in some cases, even their ability to meet basic needs like housing and transportation. No one should lose a home or be afraid to go to the ER, or ration their medication because of expected bills or existing ones. We support and expect our policymakers to not only work to make healthcare affordable and accessible moving forward, but also to take steps to address this invisible anchor that is weighing Hoosiers down. Thank you.
Wow, that was really powerful. Thank you so much, Pastor Dave and Aaron, for that really powerful testimony about medical debt. So now we have a statement from Senator Benita Becker about medical debt and about some of the work that she wants to do in the upcoming legislative session. I'm going to read it. It's a little bit small here. I'm just going to read it out loud. All right, she says, I'm writing to let you know that I am a proponent of legislation in Indiana to address the issue of medical debt. According to the data from KFF covering 2019 to 2021, 12% of adult Hoosiers have medical debt in a given year. That is 3.4% above the national average of 8.6%, and equates to about 600,000 people. Likewise, the CFPB found that as of December 2020, 18% of individuals in their consumer credit panel from Indiana had medical debt collections trade lines on their credit file. That amount totals about $2,229,000,000. Wow. The Urban Institute found that in 2015, 32% of non-elderly adults reported past due medical debt. This issue is real and is impacting Hoosiers at higher rates than most of the country. There are tangible downstream effects. Medical debt impacts financial health by reducing liquid assets, decreasing credit scores, and in extreme cases, resulting in litigation and wage garnishment. Medical debt also impacts physical health by increasing stress and causing people to avoid necessary care. It is for these reasons that I support legislation to tackle the issue of medical debt. It is taking a real toll on a significant portion of our state and needs to be addressed. Sincerely, Benita Becker. All right, thank you, Benita Becker. And if you see her, tell her to thank her for this. And also, I'm really hoping we can work on this in the upcoming legislative session. I would really like to lead some part of that work, so if you're with me on that. So I have a question for you all. I want to know, and if you just raise your hand if this is true, who else here has put off medical care or a trip to the doctor because you were afraid of getting a giant bill? Wow. Yeah, definitely me. Yeah. So yeah, that's not right. We need care. Like we only have one body, right? Like we need to look out for each other. This is a huge issue that we want to tackle. But if you're currently facing medical debt or other types of resources, we have some resources that are available on these cards on your table. So I think we have a slide here. So if you want to use that QR code, if you're struggling to pay for medical bills or navigating your child's education, you're not alone. We have put together resources here and are happy to talk to you all about that going forward. So that's just another resource that we have. Okay. The final thing I want to do is, if you're with me on this, which I think you are, and if you're able to stand, I would like to know, if you agree with this statement, please stand up. No one should be afraid to go to the doctor for fear of medical debt. All right, look around. Look around at your neighbors. This is a value that all of us hold. So let's work on this in 2025. All right? All right, cool. So now I'm going to welcome to the stage Kyla and Carrie. We're going to talk about harm reduction, and then we're going to hear a response from Representative Meltzer and a video response from Representative Garcia-Wilburn, who are working on a bill around harm reduction. So, yes, welcome to the stage.
Greetings, fellow community members, local communities, and state leaders. Thank you for allowing me the time to share another story. My name is Carrie, and I am a grateful believer in Jesus Christ, who gave me the gift of two beautiful children to take take care of on this earth. I'm also a full-time Hoosier loan officer who's lived in Clark County for 51 years. I'm going to single out moms here for a minute. And dads, you are very crucial to your children's upbringing, development, and support. But for now, I would like to ask all moms to raise their hands high and keep them up until instructed to lower it. Okay, good amount of moms here. If you have not gone through a drug addiction, by the way, my mom, if you have not gone through a drug addiction or alcohol addiction with your child, you can lower your hand. If you have a child in recovery, you can lower your hand. If you have a child still struggling with addiction, you can lower your hand. This leaves us with the remaining hands who have lost their children to a deadly overdose or complications from the use of drugs or alcohol. And to all those hands, moms, I am here to tell you that my heart goes out to you, and we will stand with you in your loss and in your current battles to see change for the future. You see, as a mom, I was supposed to be able to protect my child. It became apparent quickly that I was not the one in control of this madness. But for years, I tried very hard to be. I lost myself in doing things that no parent should really be doing, as I was trying to help protect my child, as I desperately tried to get her to rehab. It's not just me. It was my entire family that suffered during this journey with her, from hospitalizations due to blood infections, open heart surgery, and dealing with incarcerations in 4 different counties. An example of this is in 2017, during her first hospitalization for endocarditis, she had a chance while on my insurance in Kentucky to go to rehab. That not only did counseling and recovery programs, but also helped with many medical issues my daughter had, including a 6-week round of antibiotics. We missed that great opportunity because she, for one, was not ready, and I was not ready to walk away. Families living in addiction need ongoing second chances. And we need a state that supports families going through this. Indiana could really benefit to help those in this that need this kind of treatment with a rehab that can offer IV antibiotics while treating the whole person. In 2022, my daughter lost 4 close friends to overdoses. She was spiraling, and her use was now creating these nasty black holes that were eating away her skin and leaving big, deep scars. I can say this because it is the truth. Harm reduction tools saved her life that year. Fentanyl strips saved her life. Naloxone saved her life. So today, I can tell everyone harm reduction saves lives. I see the need for the programs that have been established, whether it was Narcan that saved her, the use of the strips, or the exchange program. So friends, 10 rehabs later, 6 hospital stays, open heart surgery, nursing home living, countless incarcerations, sleepless nights, and the loss of many loved ones along the way did not get this opportunity. I can say after 13 years of active addiction, I am very proud to introduce my daughter, Kyla Tom, now 13 months.
But for 13 years, I suffered from a hopeless state of mind using drugs and alcohol to cope. I was in and out of jails, hospitals, and rehabs throughout the area. And I'm here today to tell you that harm reduction did save my life throughout it all. And until I was ready to let go and change, having had places like the needle exchange, fentanyl, xylazine, sesame strips, I know I would not be standing here today. Getting sick from endocarditis, dealing with trauma, experiencing grief and shame, there would have absolutely been no hope. But I'm here to tell you that we should be doing more. I was risking my life on the daily, and I knew if I had known I was gonna get another felony for taking back my syringes, or another misdemeanor for testing strips. I probably wouldn't even care to use them and use the safety tools that these resources give me. And in honor of what did work for me, but in hopes of what we can do better, let's be reminded today that we are all important. That addiction doesn't just harm the addict, it harms us as a community. Today, I'm making a stand saying that caring does work. With 13 months now clean, I'm looking forward to a bright future. And I'm pregnant with my son, Reason, and he's my reason to keep fighting. So I leave you with this. What's your reason to make this community a better place and save another life like mine?
Thank you so much, Kyla and Carrie, for that super powerful testimony. We're really glad you're here with us today. I want to introduce Representative Meltzer and Representative Garcia Wilburn, who has a short video. She could not be here today, but they have co-authored a really, really powerful, important bill that I'll let Representative Meltzer talk a little bit about. So we'll just see the video and then you can respond to the story and talk about the bill a little bit. It's going to be a really important one that all of Gubernatorial is going to be fighting for this legislative session. It's going to be really important. I want to push it all the way through. So I guess we'll watch the video from Garcia Wilburn first and then go to you.
Hello, my name is Victoria Garcia Wilburn and I'm State Representative for House District 32, which covers portions of the city of Fishers, Carmel, and Indianapolis. I just want to say thank you today for helping us in educating the public about harm reduction principles, in particular test strips, which are known to save lives. Representative Meltzer and I were grateful for you helping us champion this issue at the State House, and we look forward to the work that we'll do next session. Have a great day.
All right. And I'd like to welcome Representative Meltzer to say a few words about this.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. I don't think it's fair that I have to follow that tremendous story. Congratulations on your success, and I hope that we can make it so that test strips are not paraphernalia next year. Representative Garcia Wilburn filed the bill last year, and I co-authored it with her. We successfully got it out of the House of Representatives. What we did in that bill was to simply delete the language in the criminal code that identifies test strips as paraphernalia. There was pushback that they wanted us to state that only xylazine and fentanyl test strips were not paraphernalia. And I said then, not knowing that I was going to be right, hoping that I was going to be wrong, that just a new drug was going to be laced into our drug supply, and we were going to have to go back to the legislature the following year to add yet another test strip. Now there are nitazene test strips. So I'm sorry to stand here and say that I was right, because that was the last thing I wanted to have happen, but it's just more evidence of why we need to do this in Indiana, and why we need to make sure that we have the right harm reduction tools to save as many lives as possible. Thank you so much for having me, and I greatly appreciate your support. Please reach out to your senators and House representatives, and hopefully we can get this done next year.
Thank you so much. Tony, you want to raise your hand to everybody real quick, Tony? Oh, there's Tony. Tony, I just want to raise your hand about, do you want everybody in Gubernatorial to stand up real quick, or? This is our news chapter in Hoosier Action, and everybody fighting for this fentanyl test strip bill, so I hope you can join us for that. Basically, what it does, I don't know if we stated this super clearly, but if you have a substance and you want to know what's in that substance, test strips help you know if there's fentanyl or any of these other drugs in the thing that you're using, so you can make an accurate decision whether you want to use that or not. It's a total harm reduction tool. It totally saves lives. We need more of those in our society. So thank you so much for that. Okay, I'm going to turn it over for our final section, which is the call for opportunity.
All right. To start off this call for opportunity, please welcome Letty to the stage to share her powerful story about housing. Welcome, Letty.
name is Wendy, and I am a member leader of the Bartholomew County chapter of Hoosier Action. I live in Columbus, Indiana. I am a housekeeper at Columbus Regional Health and the owner of Guevara Commercial Cleaning. And I've been a renter my whole life. I'm here today because I just want equal, safe housing for everyone. In 2013, I moved to Columbus to help my oldest son and his girlfriend to take care of their sons. I miss my son. I knew he had no family out here to help with childcare, so I moved in with them. Unfortunately, they separated, and I had to leave. I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't have a secure job at the time. And to find a place, you need hundreds of dollars for application fees, security deposit, etc. I didn't know where to go, so I stayed in my van. I ended up getting help from the local Love Chapel, who gave me a place to stay for a week. But I still had to figure out where to go afterwards. I reached out to my mom in Illinois, and she was able to help me get into a little apartment where the landlord let me go on a payment plan to pay the deposit. Those were the worst 2 weeks of my life. I used to regret it a lot coming to Indiana. I would have the feeling almost like I was a loser, worthless. I felt like I should have had it together already at my age. I blamed myself even though I didn't do anything wrong. There's so many others who've been through the same situation. Losing your home because you got sick or you lost your job. I felt lucky that I had Love Chapel and my mom. But not everyone is lucky. Not everyone has a family member who could help. And we should not have to rely on luck to be able to get good, safe housing. All of us deserve to have a safe roof over our heads. But it's getting harder and harder for us across southern Indiana. Between 2020 and 2022, a mega corporation real estate speculator called Blackstone spent $15 million in Bartholomew County buying up single-family homes to rent, pricing out first-time home buyers and jacking up rents. This is happening across our state, and the lack of affordable housing enables slumlords to get away with renting out unsafe homes. I have experienced this firsthand. Not long after I moved into my current rental unit, I had no hot water for almost a week because my landlord failed to ensure that the hot water was continually paid for. My job is keeping hospitals clean. I need to be able to shower and clean up after getting home. I'm afraid and I feel stuck. I can't afford to move. I think every day about what if my landlord kicks me out. I don't have a backup plan, but I'm not alone. Raise your hand if you or your loved one ever struggled with safe or affordable housing. Look around. You're not alone. Our housing crisis is no accident. It's because greedy corporations represented by lobbying groups like the Indiana Apartment Association have spent millions of dollars to rig the rules in their favor. We need more safe and affordable housing. And we need our state leaders to stand up for everyday people like me and put people first.
Harder and harder for us to find safe and affordable places to live. And like Letty said, we need real leadership at the State House to keep our homes safe and truly address this growing crisis. So today we want to lift up two key state legislators. They couldn't be here today, but they have worked with us for the past 2 years as housing champions. First is State Senator Greg Walker, who is actually Letty and my state representative from Columbus, as well as State Senator Patty Cadora. Both of who have worked together to create a bipartisan housing bill that would give tenants protections to hold their landlords accountable when their homes aren't meeting basic living standards. Whether that be mold in your home, whether that be unprotected electrical systems, whether that be AC in the summer and a working furnace in the winter. And now I will read an excerpt from a statement that Senator Clere has sent in because he could not be here with us today. He says, "Greetings to all. It is my honor to serve you in the Indiana State Senate. Protecting Hoosiers from negligent landlords, enforcing habitability standards, addressing the root causes of homelessness, providing legal representation to Hoosiers experiencing eviction cases, and building more affordable housing solutions to serve the needs of all Hoosiers must be placed as high priority items on the policy agenda of the Indiana General Assembly. As a person who experienced homelessness after Hurricane Katrina, it's my commitment to continue my work to protect Hoosier families from experiencing housing instability. I urge you to make your voices heard by reaching out to every legislator in Indiana to support our policy ideas. Sincerely, your public servant, Thank you. We're excited to continue to work with him as well as Senator Greg Walker to advance this housing legislation that has continually been blocked by some of the biggest corporate lobbyists in our state, but it's going to take us coming together and holding accountable the people that should be representing us. So thank you, Letty, for sharing your experiences. All right, and our final issue of the day, but also for our call for opportunity, is public education. So we want to welcome Karen and Elizabeth, as well as the moms of Clark County, to the stage. I also want to welcome Representative Wendy Dant, who just came here, to take a seat here, and we'll have a couple minutes for you to respond to the question.
Hello, my name is Karen. Hi, I'm Elizabeth, and we care about public education because thriving kids need thriving communities.
I'm going to tell you a story about my beautiful 15-year-old daughter now. She used to go to a Catholic school, and we never made a whole lot of money to pay for the tuition, so we did need some financial aid for her tuition. The school had said that they would grant us a school choice scholarship, and that's what they called it. We loved it. We felt like we were at family at this Catholic school. As time had passed and she got older, we did notice some changes in our daughter. She did not want to attend school. There were many days that I would have to tell her just to get up and go. She was showing a lot of the things that we just thought was her getting older as becoming a teenager. And then we all got stuck into what we the lockdown of the pandemic. And during that period, I did lose 2 family members. So she started showing things like depression. So we reached out to our primary doctor. She had said, let's do an ADHD test. And we got a hold of a psychologist to help her with medicine and some therapists to help with some coping mechanisms, but that wasn't enough. I asked the school to help give her a test to see if she needed any special education assistance. We had to wait a long time for them to get back to us. And it was the next school year, 2 weeks before school started. I had her registered, and they had asked me to meet with them so that we could talk about the test findings. They told me that she did need more assistance, that she would need what they would call a 504, and that was just where they would give her extra help. But as the principal looked at me, she said that we would not be able to do that there. So within 2 weeks left, we had to register into a public school. That felt the worst feeling at all, like your family had just kicked you out the door. So I am not the only family that has experienced facing this problem of the voucher in the school system, refusing to educate my child with disability. School choice is not about families getting to choose. It's about the private schools getting to choose who attends their schools.
First introduced in 2011, taxpayer costs rose from $15.5 million to more than $300 million annually, with over $5 million coming out of my county, Clark County, alone. What was sold to taxpayers as a chance for low-income families to access a better future for their children has quickly devolved into yet another opportunity for the wealthy few to take public dollars to line their private pockets. Private schools are not only generally exempt from state testing standards and providing individualized supports to children with disabilities, but actively seek to exclude children who don't fit their mold. Their inability to meet the needs of the most vulnerable students should mean they don't get to keep profiting from our tax dollars. Yet many of our public officials want to expand voucher programs even more. This has become a question of who gets the future in our state. My question to you, Representative Dant, to ensure public education has even the opportunity to be preserved, protected, and improved, will you fight with us against the expansion of voucher programs?
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Representative Jeff Chester, welcome you to give your remarks. You have 3 minutes.
Short answer, yes. Thank you all for bringing the attentions to me. It's been great to meet with your group and to talk about the things that other Clark County moms are concerned about. I'm a Clark County mom, but I think regardless of which county you're in, you can relate to the stories that you've just heard. I have a 16-year-old in public education who has just this summer been diagnosed with ADHD after all of the anxiety and depression treatments. Fortunately, we have been in a public school system that has supported her. So our family, Karen, as you mentioned, our family has been the public school. So I hope and pray that your daughter gets the same reception to her new family and can fit in. I also look out and I see some of Sarah and some of my teacher friends out in the audience. Public education needs to be honored for the profession that it is and the institution that it is. I'm pleased to be endorsed by the Indiana State Teachers Association, but I would have stood on my ground if there was no endorsement to be had. Because I was educated by public teachers. And as we look at the future opportunities, whether you talked today about housing or all of your different topics, education development is the one piece of our society that ensures that everybody has an opportunity. So we teach kids to learn. We teach kids to learn to earn because we want them to be able to support themselves. And there is no place in that system for us to have any losers. Business is often looked at as a win and lose situation. When it comes to public education, we cannot afford to lose a single child. So thank you for the opportunity, and I appreciate it.
Let's give another welcome, a warm round of applause to all of our speakers and all of our state representatives. Thank you so much for sharing your time and testimonies, for speaking truth to our real experiences, for lifting up what's actually happening to everyday Hoosiers, and for our representatives and state senators here actually taking leadership and communicating with those of us who are here. So thank you so much. I want to now hand it over to Will to kick us off for the next section. Actually, no, before that, I want to lift up very quickly. At everybody's table, you've got a bunch of handouts. One of these half-pagers has a place for you to check your voter registration. We've got an incredibly powerful and important election coming up in, September? In a little over a month. And all of us have to make sure that you are registered by the voter. What's registration deadline? October 7th. So
Whether it be right now or at the very end of this town hall, take out your phone, scan this easy QR code, or go into this URL that is indianavoters.in.gov. Make sure you're registered. All you need is your first and your last name and your county, and you should be able to check it. And if you have any questions or any issues, you've got a voter registration table where Maria is sitting. Maria, will you raise your hand? Please stop there before you leave. Awesome. All right, now I'm going to hand it over to Will.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we're on to the final, well, we have a closed section, but we're the one from the end section of this town hall. And this part is going to be, we're going to be hearing from our gubernatorial candidates. So I'd like to welcome our two gubernatorial candidates to the stage here today. If you'd like to sit up here, I'll give some instructions. We've invited Senator Braun, who's running for governor as well on the Republican ticket. He's unable to attend, but put your hands together for Democratic candidate for governor, Jennifer McCormick. Okay, before we get into this, I want to take a moment to recognize other candidates who are here. So if you're a candidate running for office at any level, would you please stand up so you can be recognized? Thank you so much for being here. All of your hard work. We know it takes so much work to run for office, and then we really want to thank you for all that hard work and for taking leadership. Okay, so now that we've gotten a little bit settled, here's how we're going to run this section. There's going to be 3 questions that we're going to have people come up and ask. You will have about 2 minutes to respond to each question, except for the first one. You're going to have 3 minutes. So you'll be responding to the whole. Nathan's the timekeeper. We're going to say you'll see when the time is up. So if you want to stand here or stand, I'll just pass the microphone to you for that. So without further ado, the first question is going to be from a set of clergy. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Pastor Amanda Mead, and any clergy who is here, if you'd like to come up and stand with her, she's going to ask the first question. So come up to the stage, clergy.
I will wait for my clergy friends to join me up here. So someone once described to me that ministry is just the opportunity that people invite you into the sacred spaces of their lives. What I want to say is we were all invited into sacred spaces today to hear those stories. Can I get an amen? And I heard what I hear at church all the time. I heard people who are struggling. And I heard people who are dealing with pain. And I heard people who just want these basic needs that people want. They want care, and they want opportunity, and they want freedom. And I also heard hope. But one of the most important things I think that happened here today is, and what I love about Hoosier Action, which I've been a Hoosier Action member since 2020, and I'm on the board, is how much they know the importance of witnessing to these stories, of listening to our stories, because they're not my story or your story. They're our stories together as Hoosiers, as people who want freedom and care and opportunity. So what I want to ask both of you first is, you heard all of these stories, what is it that you heard out of it? You heard what I heard. What did you hear today?
So good afternoon. First of all, Hoosier Action, thank you. And to all of you, I honor your time, and I do not take it for granted. So thank you for being here. Also to our state leaders, thank you very much for your answers. Today, what we heard was a true, honest, brave story from several individuals who are us. They're Hoosiers. And too often, we think of it's their problem. And I heard it at the State House when I was there for 4 years as your last elected state superintendent. Get out of that space, that's a home issue. They are home issues, but they're also Hoosier issues. And we have a responsibility to each other, to lift each other up and empower each other, to make sure that we're looking at opportunity through optimism. But what I heard more than anything is they want to be listened to, they want to trust state leaders, and they want results. I mean, we're not asking for much. I mean, that is simple role of government. Someone we can trust, someone we can like, someone we can respect, and someone that we know when we are calling upon them that they will listen. Too often, I have traveled this state, I've had a lot of town halls, and you know the number one thing I hear? They don't listen to us, and if they do listen to us, they don't hear us. We deserve better than that. We deserve a governor who will listen, who you can trust, but will also bring a lot of people to the table to get some solutions. I have said from the very beginning, I don't have all the answers. But I know there are a lot of people in the state of Indiana who are really, really smart, who have the answers, but who can come together for solutions. So to all of you who shared your story, you are us. I mean, you're Hoosiers, and we care about you. You're part of our state family. You deserve a governor who will be responsive to you, but who will also prioritize a budget to reflect the needs of Hoosiers versus the needs of a political agenda. That time should be over. We need common sense, and we need balance restored at that state house, and that is exactly what I'm going to bring for all of you.
First of all, thank you so much for taking time out of your day, your week, your life to be involved in figuring out how we as Hoosiers overcome what is now a government monopoly that's really taking advantage of our lives. Now, if you didn't hear, my name is Rainwater. I'm the Libertarian candidate for governor. A lot of people refer to me as the independent, right? Because I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat. Nobody writes me big checks to fund my campaign. To be very honest with you, I'm running for governor because I'm an everyday Hoosier who is sick and tired of what government is doing in our everyday lives. Because as we've heard today, there are Hoosiers all over the state of Indiana who are hurting, struggling, suffering. You know, the Medicaid issue is a huge thing. If you're not familiar with the fact that you've got a state government that in 2017 found out that there was $724 million of overbilling by large hospital systems and insurance companies in this state, and they basically put it under the rug because they didn't want to have to go to their big donors and ask for the money back. That's deplorable. That's awful. It's ridiculous. And then to find out that they say, oh, we had a $1 billion accounting mistake in our Medicaid budget. No, you let somebody overbill you $750 million. You tried to hide it. Now you want to take coverage away from Hoosiers that you promised coverage to. That is not only unethical, it's immoral. And then they turn around and give $1 billion to the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. You want to fix funding for Medicaid? Take the money back from the Indiana Economic Development Corporation and put it in the Medicaid budget where it's supposed to go. Our government is supposed to protect us from infringement. Our government has become the infringement. Thank you.
All right, thank you for those responses. All right, and I'd like to welcome to the stage Brian, who is going to share a story and a question.
My name is Brian Moore. I'm Hoosier Action Leader in New Albany and a founding member of our Economic Environment chapter. I'm also a member of UAW, Local 3058, across the river in Kentucky. I'm also a new homeowner. I bought a house on Oak Street in New Albany about a year ago. And my partner and I were only able to do so. This house was at the very top of our budget. And the only reason it was even in the ballpark was because it was covered in red and barely livable. The landlord that owned it owned multiple properties, and the child that lived in ours got left with it, 1 year old. Just got already as the rest of their lives had a bit of a challenge. Despite all this, we decided that this was our only shot at home ownership, so we resolved to fix it. When we began this process, we had $10,000 in the bank, and now we live paycheck to paycheck with nothing. And I know we're not alone. Our chapter surveyed hundreds of people in our community about their environmental concerns around their homes. And we heard over and over that air and water pollution, drafty windows and doors, basements that flood frequently, and utility bills that keep climbing year in and year out, stretching people's pockets, while companies like Duke run away with millions. People's homes are their first line of defense, and they need updates to keep us safer and healthier than many of us cannot afford, especially as climate change begins to bring more and more unpredictable weather. We see storms that are getting more intense, and many of us just experienced the hottest summer of our lives, which is likely to be the coolest summer for the rest of our lives. Not only does this put more stress on our already straining electrical grids, but it puts the most vulnerable amongst us in even more precarious circumstances. To address this, we brought 12 local congregations together, including my own church, St. Mark's UCC, to open cooling centers in the region to keep people safe during these deadly heat waves. This isn't nearly enough. We need more support. New homeowners and local churches should not be the ones left footing the bill for problems created by greedy utility companies and corporate negligence. We are experiencing the pain and bearing the cost of problems that have been created long before we got here, whether it's Duke today or lead companies in the 70s. Our communities need more funding to prepare for the chaotic and deadly weather that we will continue seeing year after year. We need to retrofit our homes to compensate for them, and we need more trees in our towns to keep cool, especially in low-income neighborhoods. So I'm asking you, will you commit to investing in community resilience, housing habitability, and affordable energy, bringing more federal resources to help strengthen our local communities? Thank you.
So thank you for the question, and by the way, I want you to know that my father was a member of the UAW for 41 years, so thank you for doing what you do every day. You working in a factory down there? Yeah, that is not fun at all, so thank you. Real quick, let me just make this really simple. Our government has been co-opted to make sure that environmental regulations benefit those who violate them. And we need to put a stop to it. You see, once again, and I know you've probably heard this, if you know who I am and if you've heard me, you've probably heard me say this before. Government's not the solution to the problem. Government is the problem. The way that government can be bought and paid for, and the fact that, as you noted, big corporations get all the breaks. And we need to enforce our environmental laws and our property rights by making sure that the people who are the bad actors pay the price, and that the price is steep enough that they'll stop acting badly. But we can't do that if we keep allowing the same people to run government. These people who have been bought and paid for, that are going to do whatever the people who put them there told them to do. Fortunately for me, I don't have any strings attached. I don't have any big donors. I represent you. Thank you.
So in that question, there was a whole lot. There was a whole lot. So first of all, I want to remind you, when we talk about don't take federal dollars, that is our free and reduced lunches at school, that is our special education money, that's our 504 money, that is our title money, that's a lot of our road money in our local communities, that is your Medicaid, much of your Medicaid money that we're talking about, it's a lot of housing money. So careful on the conversation of don't take federal money. You pay federal taxes. Let's get some of them back. So here's the deal. Yes, I will take advantage of any opportunity we have to partner with the federal government in order to get dollars into the state of Indiana. We have benefited with the infrastructure bill. We have benefited by the American Rescue Act, and you can see it on our roads, you can see it in the schools, you can see it in our hospitals, you can see it in our housing. So I just want to make sure that we know there are ways we can go after those dollars, and absolutely I'm going after every single one of them because we deserve them. Here's the other piece of that, what you said in that whole lot. We are still one of the only 11 states not in the Climate Alliance. It is a bipartisan alliance with governors. Day one, I'm starting to figure out how we can get in it and become a member. Secondly, we are one of the few states without a water management plan. And it's time we have a water management plan. I mean, it is beyond time. Property taxes are also part of this issue. We put out a common sense property tax relief plan in order to get your property taxes down and protect renters and homeowners and seniors and veterans, but everybody would get a little bit of relief without hammering our local level. Our plan got a huge response in a positive way. My opponents had to go back and try again because theirs got so much pushback. So property taxes have got to be part of this conversation. And guess what? We're 47th in the nation in annual wage growth, and we have a one-party rule supermajority in our state house that doesn't want to do a thing about it. So it is time for our wages to go up. Our wages have to go up.
Thank you so much for those responses. Okay, for our final question, I'd like to welcome to the stage two very special people. Two of the city councilors in the town that I live in, Stephanie and Louise, are going to come up and ask a question about local government. So, round of applause for them.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? My name is Louise Goldman, and I am the New Albany City Council representative for District 5. I've lived in New Albany for over 40 years, almost coming close to 50 years, so you can say I'm well seasoned. I've raised my children here. I now have my grandchildren living here. I'm a professional educator. I'm also a licensed funeral director. I have kids gurus, and I have helped someone on the worst day of their life. I'm an active community volunteer. I've watched New Albany grow from a sleepy little town to where we are now, a vibrant and engaged city. In many ways, we're growing by leaps and bounds, but in other ways, we are holding fast to the basic, important day-to-day things that help us call it home. I ran for office because I believe strongly that you can't just be one of many. You have to speak up and let your voice be heard. One of the things that I pledged when I was elected was to represent all the people of my district, not just the ones with a D after their name. And I know Stephanie feels the same way. It's one of the reasons that we have become not just representatives of New Albany, but we've become pretty good friends. We both believe that we can and should work together in a bipartisan spirit to focus on the issues and the needs for state and local government to work together. I love being part of and seeing the ingenuity, the creativity, and the positive spirit of the people of our community. And with your help and commitment, we can keep Indiana
with her. I'm at large, so thank you to Clere County, the people that showed up today. Appreciate that. I have a small business that ran with my two sisters for the past 31 years. I've been married to my husband. It'll be 29 years a week from today, so super excited about that. We have 3 adult kids who decided to make New Albany area their home. So that really makes me happy that what we've been doing makes them proud enough to want to stay in this area, in the state of Indiana. With all the hats that come with running a business and with marriage and raising your kiddos, I think it's helped prepare me for this next adventure, which I don't know exactly what it is. Louise and I talk about this a lot. We're like, what have we got ourselves into? Because what should be common sense and working together doesn't always happen. You got to be able to shift. You got to listen. You got to compromise. You got to put people others first. That's what you all talked about today, and that's why we're all here, because we do care about one another, and we can't lose sight of that. That's the biggest thing. I've always been heavily involved in our community, and I look for others with the same passion. I know that's why we get along so well. I love listening and brainstorming with groups like today. This is how we come to the best decision that's best for all of us. It's the disagreeing. I mean, we're going to have disagreements. That's what it's about. We get to hear from both sides. But you've got to come to that compromise, and that's what makes us all go forward together. So, Louise and I, do we agree on everything? No. Do we learn from each other? Absolutely. That is exactly what we're in. And then we need this at a national level, at a state level. Thank goodness for Hoosier Action, for you guys putting this on today and focusing on policy and not party. I think we need more of that in our lives, which brings us back to why we are here today. So the challenges that you've heard about today require local solutions, regional coordination, and state level resources.
Right, so here is our question. So these challenges require local solutions, regional coordination, and state level resources. So as governor, what would you do to ensure stronger coordination between local community groups, elected officials, and our state government?
So first of all, I did not give a shout out when I first came in, so this is totally random, but I was born in Scottsburg. So it's good to be home. Yeah, isn't that crazy? So people are like, ooh, yes, I lived here for a year before my dad got transferred. But back to your question. So to coordinate at the governmental level, at all levels, you have to have a willingness. And it has to be on purpose. So I hear a lot of rhetoric at the State House saying we are willing to work with our local government. I also saw it firsthand when they did that until they didn't like the local leader, or they didn't like the local decision, or there was a big ask. And there are a lot of times where I saw that happen and I thought, what happened to that local control spirit? I am a firm believer that the boots on the ground is where it happens. I mean, there's so much that happens at that local level. When I was in the Department of Education, and Bailey's here, she was part of our team, our role was we serve you. We serve the locals. We are to guide and support, not control and command. And there is a very, very big difference depending on who you elect and how they approach that. We were always about uplifting that local government, whoever called upon us. We would have town councils, we would have school boards, we would have local hospital boards that would say, hey, we need your help on this. We were always approaching it in a way that was a partnership. We didn't always have the answers. That was the other piece of this too, that we were always willing to reconnect to someone who did, but it's a willingness. Far too often right now at our State House, when it's so unbalanced, you don't have to follow rules, you don't have to listen, you don't have to deal with anyone locally if you choose not to, and that's not good government. We put out a common sense ethics plan. We rolled that out right away because I truly believe if you can't trust your government, we're all in big trouble. But a big piece of that was working with our local level in a balanced way, bipartisan, bringing that common sense that everybody's like, what happened, to the forefront so we can get some things done.
So, if you've ever heard the phrase, all politics are local, the truth of the matter is, folks, everything is local. Everything should be local. And one of the first things that I can do as governor of the state of Indiana, because I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, is that I can work with people and I don't have to worry about are they the same party as me, because none of them will be. But what I can do is I can work for you as an individual. I can make sure that every community in Indiana is treated in the unique way that it needs to be treated. Because, let's be honest, Lake County is not the same as Marion County, is not the same as Scott County. Every Hoosier is unique. Every county is unique. Every town is unique. And what we need to do as much as possible is decentralize government in the state of Indiana. We need to get things back down to the local level, whether it be education and making sure that school boards and parents and teachers are in charge of the education for children, or whether it's your utilities. It doesn't matter what it is. We need to get state government out of most of what it's into, because here again, whether we like it or not, folks, state government is corrupt as it can possibly be. And until we recognize it and we decide we're going to fix it, we're not going to get any cooperation at the local level from our state government. All we're going to get is what we're already getting. So I want to get things back into your hands. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those responses. Okay, big round of applause for our gubernatorial candidate. Okay, Tony is going to come up now, and he's going to lead you through this final section, which will involve commitment cards and stuff on your table. So let's give our full attention to Tony as he kind of takes us home.
My name is Tony Hosta. I am the lead organizer for the Carolina Clutch chapter of the Hoosier Action. Our main focus is to work on reentry issues, going back into society for post-incarceration, working on some harm reduction. That's our main focus with Carolina Clutch. I also introduced myself as a drug addict in long-term recovery. As I was preparing my clothes, I couldn't help but think about 9 years ago. I was housed across town at 111 South 1st Street. Some of you are very familiar with that address. That's the Scott County jail. That was my address at that time. Awaiting sentencing to go to Indiana Department of Corrections. Of course, that was a very dark time in my life. Problems of my own making, granted. But I still sat in those bunks and within those walls, worrying about the same topics we talked about today. How am I going to re-enter society? I didn't have a home to go to. I didn't have a car or license, none of that. I was basically starting over from scratch. And when you enter into the Department of Corrections system, you lose your identity. You are now a number. I wasn't Tony in there. I was 257685, which South G312 Love, which was my bunk assignment. You lose your value and your self-worth. I lost my voice. Any form of power I had in there, I had to develop on my own, and in ways that normal people wouldn't even understand. I knew I didn't want to be in that system anymore. I didn't necessarily want to stop getting high. I just wanted to stop going to jail. Yeah. Amen. So I went off to a 6 to 9 month program up in Indianapolis and was there 18 months because I'm a sick individual. Along the path of my program, I picked up some leadership qualities about myself I didn't know I had. People tapped into for me because I had good leadership ahead of me. Fast forward a couple years, and I'm sitting in a room a lot like this, a town hall, not near this big. It was in Jeffersonville. It was when all the damage control was trying to be done for the opioid epidemic and all the HIV and Hep C stuff that was being done. Places like Thrive and Holding Space were just ideas at that time. They were just concepts around tables like this. CCATs and harm reduction programs weren't there. So we made a bunch of strides to make things better. Kyle talked about being miracles. And we are, but those of us that trudge that path know how much work it took to get there. To get to that miracle status. So I'm sitting in this town hall, and we're trying to, like I said, do some damage control around harm reduction and get kind of coming out of this opioid epidemic crisis. And I got up, it wasn't planned speech or anything, I just got up and shared my feelings about what was going on in the local communities. And I met Will Salter. He came up and gave me his business card and invited me coffee. It was kind of a little weird at first, honestly. But I'm like, okay, this guy's, and I wanted to get involved doing bigger and better things. I'm working in recovery at this time. And I wanted to get involved in doing bigger things, making change possible. And Will poured it, he invested it. He seen my value. It wasn't long before he had a microphone in my hand, standing in front of a group of people telling my story. We worked together with Senator Braun to get the MAT Act passed on a federal level. That made it easier for people to get medically assisted treatment in rural communities if they needed Suboxone or Vivitrol or anything, any kind of medically assisted type treatment. We got, with the help of a lot of other people, by the way, but we got first responders in Floyd County and Cary and Army. I saw change happen. I started to find my value and my self-worth in my voice. That's why I got involved with Hoosier Action. That's why I became a Hoosier member. Because they were making things happen. And I wanted to be involved. This is why you're in this room. Because you're leaders. You're leaders in this community. I'm still baffled that I'm standing in front of a future governor possibly and telling him, don't tell me that things aren't possible. I was just a dope fiend in them jail cells. Now I have some value and self-worth in myself. Some of you all have touched that path and watched me go through my struggle. We need you to continue this fight. We're building an army. Not necessarily to fight, we want to work with state, local leaders. But again, we're building an army just in case. Because we're not done. In fact, some of this stuff is just getting started. Right? Some of this stuff. And we've got to continue. I know there's a lot of papers on your table, but I want you to find this card. Got pens on the table, plenty of pens. Go ahead and put your name and fill that out. Fill the front of that out for me. You can take the pen home when you go. It's our gift to you. Now flip it over to the back. Did you hear some things today that piqued your interest, that you want to be involved in? Check that top box. I'd love for everybody in this group to check that top box. Or better yet, just scan that QR code to become a dues paying member of Hoosier Action right now. That top box, I want to become a dues paying Hoosier Action member. There's several boxes on there. I want to triple my vote. I had to ask about that one. That means you're going to haul somebody else to the polls to vote. So it's important. Register to vote, carpool, and get people there. Check any of those boxes. We also have some cool events coming. Barry's Reflection Garden, we're going to have that dedication October 19th. Our open house we're excited about on October 26th. Barry's Reflection Garden dedication. Want me to talk about that? Okay. Well, I got the stop sign. I'll try to tell you real quick what Barry's Reflection Garden is. Barry Duncan was a friend of mine that I grew up playing t-ball. We were friends since we left the porch. We drank and used together for most of our lives. And he died from the disease of alcoholism while I was in prison. And in fact, his death is a big reason I'm sober and alive today. And I just wanted to do something to commemorate his memory. And so we named it Barry's Reflection Garden. So, and it's not just a memorial garden, it's a place to reflect. To come and remember, maybe somebody's out there in the madness and you just want to sit somewhere still and pray. It's a place to do that. It's under a lot of construction right now. It's going to be a beautiful garden. You've all been proud. So show up, check the box, become a dues paying member, and I've been involved with Hoosier Action going on 4 years now. We've built this big town hall. Can you imagine what we can do in 4 more years? Pastor Pete. There he is. Go ahead and raise your hand. We're going to go around and collect these cards. We will be in contact. We will have coffee. I'm going to turn it over to Pastor P. He's going to lead us with a dedication.
I guess I have to formally introduce myself. The name of my mother and father name is Everett Richard. Most people call me Pastor P, Coach P, Mr. P, because I coach football, taught school, and I claim all. Can you hear me now? I claim all children that come in my presence, my child, my cousin, my grandchild. I just grew up like that because I come from a big family. But I'm not here to talk about me. I serve as pastor, lead pastor of the Empowerment Community Church located in New Albany, Indiana. And today we have heard, we talk about topics of health and care, education, and housing. And basically what we talk about is people. So we talk about you and me. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. But there's 3 things I want you to keep in mind before you leave here today. The 3 things that I'm borrowing from a pastor in South Miami. He also served as the president of the SBC there. There's 3 things he said: present, participation, and perseverance. I would like to share that with you because today you are present. that means that you want to do something about something. You want to change lives, change your community. And then also there's participation. That's the part that you have to do when you leave here. You're going to have to vote. And if each one of us get 10 people to vote, that means that how many people are going to be voting here in this state? Participation means that you're going to be a part. You're not going to be a bench warmer. You're not going to sit back for 4 years and talk about what they should have done, what they're going to do, what they may have done. I should have voted. No, get up and do it. This is your opportunity. And I want to say this about myself. I spent 24 years in the military so we can have this opportunity to do it. And all the youth at the church and all those who I come in contact with the parks and recreation facilities, I tell them all the time, when you turn 18, you register and you vote, because not only me, but there are people that came before me that died and sacrificed just for that opportunity. You have that right. And I'm not going to tell you who to vote for or how to vote, but you have that right. You know the needs in your neighborhood. You know how to make the changes. It's up to you, not me. It's not up to somebody that's sitting up there in the White House. No, it's up to us right now. That means we have to participate. That means we have to get out there and work hard. That means we have to give up something. There's a sacrifice that everybody has to give here in the United States of America. We all stand together. We all suffer together. We all fight together. But there's one more thing. Perseverance. Don't you ever give up. You might go down on one knee, but make sure when you go down on that one knee, you pray to give you strength to get back up. And today, I tell you right now that I will not give up. I'm going forward. Because there's somebody that depended on me, just like I depended on them. Now it's your turn to have somebody they depended on you. You have reached back and you know that where you came from, and somebody was right there to push you, even when you was at your worst moment. Somebody brought the light to you and showed you the way out. Now it's your turn. Please stand and go forth. God bless you.